Brethren, and those of the occult community. I wanted to cover something that these megachurch pastor magicians keep glancing over due to their lethargic selves. That is in my own culture, bijou consacré, or magical items or talismans. The power of them as devotional objects, and we'll also talk about the observances of sacred color resonance because so many people, such as EA and Darren, want you to ignore this powerful aspect of your craft. There's so many of their videos in which they've demonized wearing a certain thing because they'll see it as complicated or, oh, you can do something the easy way, or we're trying to wear fancy robes or some shit for no purpose at all, like James and all them tried to proclaim. So you'll hear me go through this several times in the void videos as well, just because of how integral these observances can be. So cardinal colors take on energy very well, such as red being taking on energy for danger, passion, excitement, energy resonance, blood, hexing, destruction. In my own culture, red and black is symbolic to spilling the blood of those who tried to bind and enslave them in one of the very few successful rebellion against enslavers. Something our resident megachurch pastor magicians are currently learning the hard way. Then you have orange. It represents that fresh, youthful, creative, and adventurous. Often representing travel or the sorcerer's ambition, that fire that I was talking about in previous videos. Yellow brings optimism and happiness. Green naturally vitality, prestige, prosperity, wealth workings. Blue, astral energy, communication, casting open gateways. In my own case, void energy. You also don this color when wearing with Beren Z, something the mega church pastor magicians want you to fucking ignore. You got purple as well, representing your Sahasra or awakening. These are just a few generalized colors and their energies, but they have a far more properties than what I'm mentioning here. But this is very similar to sacred geometry. Muslims and their prophets know this, so they made certain colors haram in certain sects to wear red as it evokes certain energy. Just as wearing silver takes in void energy very well and actually causes it to tarnish. I still have the silver beads in my hair used to empower my crown. If you didn't know that, this is hair is also used in binding and sealing agent to because it serves as this form of permanence with your god mind, your sahasra. With me wearing silver tarnished beads and everything helps my meditation and omniscience projection, which will go on later in void videos. So, like I said before, when you call an infernal spirit or demon, generally they're very ornate, and you best believe everything they're fucking wearing serves a purpose to that specific aspect of their infernal divinity. And I thought I'd mention this and kick Mr. Creosote or Mr. Hoax in the teeth once again. For someone who has donned the name and rank of Papa, sure as fuck doesn't know anything about my culture or ancestral spirits. For one who has truly worked with them, you'll often see them wearing precious metals, bones, death conduits in their hair, or on their spiritual vessels to empower your God mind and please their spirits. This is the foundation of certain spiritual power. Sacred ornamentation to not only appease one's spirits and higher self and along with the gods, but to strengthen your very vessel and open it to the forces you're attempting to conjure. My ancestors knew this approach. The spirits, you know, wearing respectful and traditional garb and even offerings. We understood the spiritual power of color, similar to how shapes and numbers hold great power, similar to the study of sacred numerology or sacred geometry. You know, come now, my ancestors knew the power of cardinal spiritual colors and they were fucking illiterate at the time. So these people who demonize us, you know, You would think that James Breathitt, a fourth generation inbred, would presume to teach others when he's the very embodiment of lethargy. You know, he needs to eat more fiber because he's full of fucking shit. You know, I wanted to give you a couple of examples of synchronicity as well, since the megachurch pastors that I spoke of have tried to demonize it, which is extremely ironic, I feel, because they rely upon the energy and power of aestheticism to grab someone's attention, you know, of their sheeple, but rebuke the very aspect with it in ritual, such as wearing robes or just doing something constantly photoshopped, and will wear something such as like a blue jean and a shirt with a logo to cater to the weak mind to make sorcery seem more reachable to the gullible and stupid. Whereas you actually do have to work for it. I've seen so many videos where people have tried to subversively rebuke my statements and say, oh, it doesn't make us lazy because their ego and narcissism told them that the spirits, quote unquote, need them, so they shouldn't have to do it. No, you don't get a fucking G pass on that one. If you can't go into your closet and wear something so simplistic as a cardinal color, as it helps draw in and imbibe upon the demons or essence that you're trying to conjure, I'm sorry, but you're a lazy piece of shit. Simple as that. Colors have extreme power with its residents. Look at how many people who can't take the wisdom and logic I'm speaking or watch the videos due to my own color and their own weak social engineering. They don't even understand why. It has great purpose, within the spiritual. I've seen colors with the eyes of the void that can't be viewed by the human spectrum, like the true beauty of the light of the void, like the light of the Lucifer that many misinterpret. In fact, monks have long figured out the power of sacred color resonance by manipulation of what they refer to as the rainbow body. But their version is quite limited as they foolishly, cast off their innate human desires and kill their ego completely to the point of righteousness, to where the ego comes back slightly and starts to kill them off. My point being, sacred color, sacred ornamentation is very integral. Even in sigil workings, using certain colors can beyond empower one's ritual work. Mega church pastor magicians have said this shit is complicated, but it really isn't. Any sorcerer with common sense isn't going to skip out on such a powerful aspect. Same with precious metals, like I spoke of earlier. Like if you remember, like I think it was Samson or something in the Bible that gave him, his hair was his own conduit because of how he shaped it to connect with his God mind and confidence and belief in himself. He had this sense of invulnerability. You know, Now you got monks on the opposite side of the spectrum as well, taking their own identities and from themselves and ego so that they may connect with universal energy or void energy, no longer having the form of independence that we have on the left hand path. By attuning only to the ancestral side of it, via that universal energy. Now, when it comes to these type of things, my own ancestral tribes, along with many others, practice marking themselves with ritual ashes, along with that of their enemies, even blood masks and ritualistic statues. We're on magical items here, but the extreme power that they have and their faith in it, you will only find this type of faith, in the Middle East or Haiti or Dubai, places like that. They don't leave their homes without it. I do this myself. As an example, I'll have statues which host my own personal legionnaires for protection and conduits around my house, and on my person, in my own spiritual culture, we take protection extremely seriously and understand it very well. You know, have many that will let me know if I'm being attacked and by whom, as it gives them anchors, as described in Cabal literature. They even will curse and drain my attackers and bring me their essence. You know, our own AGM, he's spoken on it in the past, but he has a fondness to the Alatul due to the synchronicity. We'll probably show those on camera at some point or another, but those usually collect the spirits of his enemies. I myself have many against character assassination. They let me know what postulates are shit, who's betraying me, and more. My recommendation, if you're a disciple postulate or outer disciple, to have an informant, preferably a dark siren or a Sinacor demon from Tower of Secrets, and a guardian or two, such as the sentinels from the Tower of Pain or Israel from working with the fallen angels. You know, with something as well to heal you if you run into trouble, such as the Alimaye, also from the Tower of Fallen. Those can be called from the Profane Seals Grimoire. Please also utilize the Soul Bonding Seal along with the Life Bond ritual. Each will connect them to you easier and help them manifest. You know, so many overthink this and think, oh, it didn't work just because, they tried to be lazy. But yeah, most of this I wouldn't recommend overlooking this like most westernized sorcerers do, because many will go for pretty over practical and will buy it only for the look or representation. And it'll usually have filthy energy attached or not at all, because it'll come from some generic shop or individual that isn't in resonance upon creation, from someone who doesn't understand what they're creating at all. This is another reason we stop making relics for outsiders. Most Westerners don't understand the spiritual property of it and how it manifests. Most won't put in the ritual work and meditation with it, like we will as well, due to their own lack of understanding. So we took them off from non-disciples, those who don't understand the relics. To give a few fucking examples, let's say you'll have like a Christian who will buy a cross because they believe it will protect them. That Christian won't march up to the fucking store and say, hey, it didn't work as described, because they have some idea about what they have faith in. And in this instance, where the last outsider tells me he's got 30 years of mysticism and sorcery, but he's a skeptic, you know, presents his ego attitude, and he's like, how's this supposed to work anyway? And he he had talismans for attracting lovers. Naturally, he thought sitting on his fucking ass would be enough. He tried running a chargeback. If you're familiar with how PayPal works and how they dick over practitioners, to say some jackass, oh, I didn't get it, and when we proved it was a lie, they'd say not a, they change their thing up and say, oh, it's not as ascribed, neither the seller nor buyer can prove it's not as ascribed because it's a talisman. So this person gets their money back and the talisman to feel content, like they didn't have to put faith in anything. That is until we started exposing their fucking asses and went with another payment company. But this is why we have to do this, and that's sad that that's so rampant in the Western occult community. You know, I want you to observe every magical item, every observance. Don't let these megachurch pastor magicians who don't believe in what they supposedly do and tell you that it's overcomplicated. You know, I've heard many of these sorcerers will say they'll wear fancy robes and everything during ritual and everything. It's not only respectful and tradition, but the difference is outstanding. For example, I'll wear a certain thing when I need to make my enemies suffer along with specific relics. Because in that instance, I imbibe the energy and become akin to a lightning rod when I need to bind, curse, or drain my enemy. they're fucked and they're hit 10 times harder than they normally would. Now, the megachurch pastor magician's defense, such as EA or many of them, they be like, well, I don't need to rely on that. Well, these sorcerers are far worse off for it because it increased my own energy reserves to such heights to from conjuring death, protection from curses, keeping my own health, and more. It requires so much less energy. And with my protection against vampirism, I can't be drained when I'm on video or in the public by some weak fucking wannabe crossing my path. So, and then when in the instance when I take it off, that same energy is still there. It feels like I'm taking off training weights that weigh a couple 100 pounds, and the energy of my vessel has been trained and magnified. My energy reservoir is deepened so that when I'm projecting to an enemy or multiple people to do away with them, it's far easier than it should be. Any sorcerer that's worth a piss observes these little things here and there, like the Cabal, and others. So I want you guys to really think about that. Don't be like every megachurch pastor magician and only use these things for Photoshop and aestheticism, but realize the power in everything I've covered here. Don't let the mainstream generic rejects try and shame you for it and call you a LARP or a D&D cultist because they're usually far weaker for it. And if they can't understand such simple concepts, some of them don't realize the attunements for metal, figuring gold or silver, something looks tacky, such as, when I'm wearing my rings and everything. You can send out energy hundreds of times more powerful. Please observe these. When we go through each tower, we're going to explain their list of attunements along with their magical components. But you just can't let these megachurch pastor uh, who have no power feed you Pirelli's miracle elixir and say, oh, for just 5 easy payments of $299, you too can be a blue jean wearing drug addicted piece of shit like me. you know, you know, if anything is worth fucking doing, it's worth doing right. So you just remember that. I'm going to speak more about this in another video. I'll see everyone again soon. Hopefully with a similar lecture for Void. So, with much of what I've mentioned here, but in greater detail. I'll see you all again soon.